Hi everyone, Rebecca here from the Ship Shape Shop. Today I'm excited to welcome Renee from That Perfect Hour. Welcome Renee. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Thanks Rebecca, it's fantastic to be here. I encourage people to just learn some really basic skills to do with mending their clothes, to think about how we can love our clothes longer and keep them out of landfill.
I love it. You guys know that that is one of my key values, is reducing the amount of stuff that goes into landfill. And when I was talking to Renee, I thought this is the perfect thing, because I bet there are some of you guys that might have a pile of mending that needs taking care of, aka clutter, sitting somewhere in the home. So I thought that inviting Renee to have a chat today, we'll be able to share some simple skills with you so that you can hopefully love your clothes for longer, but also take action and get some of those things out of your to-do pile and start wearing them again and getting some more life out of them.
Mm-hmm. A fantastic thing about mending is that none of the equipment or supplies that we need are expensive or hard to find, which is great. So it's really fantastic to have some needles. They don't need to be expensive or any flash type, just whatever you've got is great. The larger the eye can make it easier to thread, so I often try to look for a large eye. Just general all-purpose sewing thread is fantastic. Some small scissors if you've got some like that. And I also try to keep a small pile of fabric scraps that I can use to make patches, which have just come from other discarded clothing or scraps that I've had around. And one final thing is, if you can keep a small collection of buttons going when you come across them, it can be really handy when you need to replace one.
Beautiful. Okay, cool. Thanks, Renee. I'm excited to see your technique for sewing on a button. So here we go.
Okay, so we thread our needle and then we want to double the thread over. Like that. And then we'll tie a knot with both the threads around my finger once. And then I put the threads through twice and pull. There's our knot. Now, if you find the place where you want your button to go, I start at the top of the fabric and take a small stitch. And then we can add our button. And then I would make 4 or 5 stitches through, just like that. Okay, once you've done your 4 or 5 stitches through, I would bring your needle back up to the front, and then I would just take a small stitch. Needle through and make a small knot once. And twice, and then you can snip off the thread and you're finished. Done.
That was awesome, Renee. Thank you so much. You guys may or may not know this about me, but I actually love to sew, but I just learned how to properly sew on a button. My cat-handed attempt has never looked quite as nice and tidy as that, so I'll be using that again and again and again. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with us?
My recommendations would be just to keep those tools on hand and don't let the mending pile get too big, because it can seem quite daunting. If you can keep the mending pile handy and just tackle those small jobs as they come up, then you'll get your clothes back in rotation much faster.
That is absolutely amazing. I like the idea of not letting the mending pile up and keeping it nice and handy. So one last thing that Renee is going to share with us, which I am super excited about, is a visible mending technique. Now, if you guys haven't seen this, it's so cool. So Renee's brought some examples that she can show us, and then we'll talk a little bit more about that after we've seen the examples.
Thanks. So this is what we're calling visible mending, which is using quite thick special thread and a particular stitching technique to create beautiful patterns. It works really well on sturdy fabrics, particularly jeans, and it's also fun and easy to do. There's another one.
That is so cool.
Absolutely, and the stitching is really simple. It's very beginner friendly and not difficult, and there's really no rules with it, so you can add your creative touch as well.
So if you like the look of that visible mending technique, Renee actually has a workshop coming up. It's on Sunday the 29th of March from 1 to 4 p.m. It's here in Auckland and it costs $135. So included in that is expert tuition from the lovely Renee. Some beautiful materials all the way from Japan, which you get to take home and put into your kit. So you can bring along a pair of jeans or something else sturdy that you want to mend, or if you've got some mending at home, then you can just learn how to make patches that you can take home with you and pop onto your garments that need mending. So if you'd like to buy tickets, they're available from thatperfecthour.com. Awesome, Renee, thank you so much for hanging out this morning and finally showing me how to sew on a button properly. I feel like going and redoing all of the buttons that I've sewn on throughout my life and fixing them so they don't look so botched, just look so lovely and perfect. So thank you so much, lovely chatting today, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye! Bye.